Countdown, 5, 4, 3. Yatimwa, g'day. Welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting on this Tuesday, the 28th of April on the 2026. Welcome to all councillors and to staff and those joining online and in the public gallery. Please note that today's meeting is being live streamed and can be viewed by the general public via Council's Facebook page, later uploaded to Council's website. By participating in and addressing those present at the meeting, you consent to any information you disclose, including any personal information or sensitive information being recorded and uploaded to the website. Now call upon Councillor Murray to read our opening statement. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor. As councillors, we recognise the responsibilities we carry and are guided by the values of service, respect and integrity. Good decision-making requires transparency, accountability and behaviours that uphold the trust placed in us as elected representatives of the community we serve.
On Councillor Foster to read the acknowledgement of country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders, past and present. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Do we have any apologies today? Yes, we do.
Yes, through you, Councillor Ryan.
Councillor Ryan. Cooper.
Accepted.
Thank you. And seconder, Councillor. And we'll now put that to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. That is 6-0. Yep, and acknowledge that our Director of welcome Susie Cooley, the Acting Director of Corporate and Governance today, as Miss Sloane Robinson is on the moment. Thank you. Welcome, Susie. Now, confirmation of the minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting on the 24th of March 2026. Any questions, councillors? Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Murray, a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Foster. And Councillor Murray has to move up.
Nothing further to add, thank you, Mayor.
And as a seconder.
No, that they're true and accurate records so far as I can see. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? And move to sum up. Further need. I now put the motion to the vote. Those for the motion? Thank you. It is carried 6-0. Thank you. We now move on. Sorry, that's before we move on. Is there any conflicts of interest on any items in today's meeting, councillors or staff? Now move to public participation. Call for a motion to suspend standing orders in order to hear the public participants. That's me. You and a seconder, Councillor Taylor. It is for the motion. Carried 6. You. And now invite public participant Fiona Cassidy to speak. So you'll have 5 minutes and we'll open up for questions.
Thank you, Mayor.
Which 5 minutes isn't included in the question time. So you've got 5 minutes to present. And at 4 minutes, I'll give you a minute warning. That's okay. Thank you. Cheers.
Firstly, thank you for allowing the public participation today. I'm speaking to agenda item 2.4, which is the stage subdivision of Old Peterborough Road in Peterborough. I've worked with the landowners since they purchased the property to assist them in the planning processes to date, and believe that now we are near the end of the first approval process. There's much more to go. And we believe that the proposed 53-lot subdivision will be an excellent addition to the Peterborough community, providing much for housing in the next 10 years or so. The proposed subdivision has been through many versions, and as permit applicant and representative of the landowners, I believe this version provides for a high quality outcome for both the existing community and future residents. The recommendation in front of you supports, subject to the stated conditions, the issue of a notice of decision to grant a permit. The proposed permit conditions, although extensive, do not propose to alter the layout or form of the subdivision. Rather, the 54 permit conditions provide for a significant level of detailed design to ensure that the subdivision is constructed as proposed in the permit application. This builds on the work already undertaken to date, which involved significant redesigns to meet the requirements of council's internal departments, as well as the external referral authorities, including the Country Fire Authority, Fire and Rescue Victoria, and to respond to community feedback. The staging of the subdivision supports the lower rates of growth in Peterborough compared to larger towns within the Shire. And it's noted that stage 1 and stage 3 both include wetlands, reserves, and linkages to the surrounding existing street networks. There are 2 pedestrian crossing points across Old Peterborough Road to connect to the existing footpath network, as well as into Callaway Court and Lockhart Street. The pedestrian crossings on Old Peterborough Road link to the existing footpath on the eastern side of the road and provide access both into town and to Irvine Reserve, which is an active open space across the road. The lots in the subdivision provide a diverse range of options, varying between 639 square metres and 1,101 square metres, with an average lot area of 709 square metres. During the planning permit process, a number of lots were removed from the proposal and reserve areas increased in response to community and authority feedback. Traffic experts have confirmed that Old Peterborough Road does not require any upgrades to support the expected traffic movements from the subdivision, particularly with the intersection with the Great Ocean Road. The pedestrian crossing from Road A across Old Peterborough Road is also located to the north side of the intersection, the new intersection, to maximise sightlines and keep pedestrians away from the primary expected path of travel southbound to the Great Ocean Road. The additional northern pedestrian crossing allows pedestrians to walk along the shared path on the northern edge of the site from Reserve C to the Wetland Reserve and out across Old Peterborough Road, crossing the existing footpath without walking south through the whole internal street network. We believe this is sorry, just lost my words for a second. We believe this is a new roundabout walking route through the whole division that for passive recreation will be a really positive addition to the town. In addition, this path can be utilised in an emergency if necessary. There will be removable bollards along the path at each end to prevent any vehicles entering the reserve except for maintenance or emergency purposes. It is put to you that the proposed stage subdivision meets the relevant planning scheme and infrastructure requirements, has resolved through multiple redesigns the majority of concerns raised by the 5 initial objectives, and will support the continued economic development of the town and provide an ongoing contribution to the Moyne Shire with provision of additional open spaces and linkages to the existing community. In summary, as the permit applicant and representative of the landowners, I seek your support to approve the Office of Recommendation as set out in the meeting agenda and issue a notice of decision to grant permits subject to conditions specified. I welcome any questions you have and thank you for your time today.
Your presentation. I'll now open it up for questions. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. Thanks, Ms. Castley, for your presentation. You mentioned the stages of the statements over 3 stages, which I think you said would reflect the slower growth rates in Peterborough. What period of time do you anticipate each of those stages might take to roll out?
That might be a better place for the next submitter to answer in detail, but generally the first stage is 1/3 of the lots. We expect that with the reserve fronting Old Peterborough Road, the lots backing onto lots on Lockhart Street, that being the biggest stage, any pent-up demand will be serviced in that and then maybe slower through. Does that answer your question?
Sort of, yeah. Just through you, Mayor, I'm just wondering if you anticipate it could be over 10 years, 20.
They're hoping the detailed design can be approved and that it doesn't end up at appeal, that they'll be on the ground before summer, with an aim to have lots available for housing permits to be lodged. Each house requires a planning permit sometime towards the end of next year. The construction will take a significant period of time, but the land business has some house facilities that can make that move faster.
Thank you.
Does any other councillor wish to ask any questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Taylor.
Yes, I have a question. So, in the designing of the lot layout, how would you describe that it fits in with the character of the area?
Is there a specific part of the character that you're referencing?
Well, either in that particular area or the broader Peterborough township.
Okay. So there's 2, as I said, there's 2 distinct parts of Peterborough. There's what's referred to as Old Peterborough around the town centre in the golf course, where there is generally 1,000 square metre plus lots, and move over this side, the western part of the town, where through previous subdivisions such as Callaway Court and Lockhart Street being the two closest that border the site. Those lots there are smaller on average than is proposed on this site, and they were subdivided prior to the design guidelines coming in, which it specified that the average minimum lot size needed to be 700 square metres, which we exceed, and that no lot be less than 600 square metres. So primarily in my house, lots of just under 600. And so some of the feedback we had from the community, owning a boat is a really big desire for a holiday house in Peterborough, that lots of that size didn't split them up for storage purposes on the property, to have a house and space for your little tinny to head out and do some fishing. So we hope that by providing a mix of lots between 639 square metres and 1,100 square metres, that we meet that mixed need for a different housing lot size in Peterborough. In addition, there is a theme in the design guidelines about the informal nature of roads and nature strips and subdivisions. A little bit of a mismatch between current day infrastructure and drainage requirements and those desires are set out in Peterborough design guidelines. So we've tried to find a middle ground, and the proposed permit conditions add in a few extra bits that probably make it more like a typical subdivision you would see in a larger town, but that's just due to modern day infrastructure requirements than dealing with storms. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to ask any other questions? I've got one question. In terms of the community, obviously it's quite a tight-knit community down in Peterborough, very thorough in Peterborough, I often say. In terms of the community having their say, what sort of consultation have you done with the community?
So firstly, the main role of consultation is council as the planning authority. The application has been placed on public notice 3 times, over 100 and something letters sent out each time. In addition to that, quite a while ago now, this process has taken some time. As a group, myself and the landowners, we went to the Peterborough Hall for the day. We attended a Peterborough residents group meeting, and we set up with the first concept drawings and just made ourselves available to answer questions through the day. The community drop-in session at the Hall, we estimate that about 30% of the town's permanent population attended that day. And that coincided with the first public notice.
Any other councillors wish to ask any other questions? No. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Castley. Thank you. And now I'll call upon Mr. John Delaney, also regarding item 2.4, planning application PL 23-235. Should have mentioned it. Thank you. As per before, you have 5 minutes to present. We'll give you a warning of 4 minutes, just so you know you don't have left, and then we can open up for questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, councillors, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name's John Delaney. I'm here on behalf of our family business, West Rock. We're the owners and applicants of the site at 109 Old Peterborough Road. Peterborough are here together with Fiona. First, I'd like to thank the council officers, the referral authorities, and also our consultants who put a lot of effort into this application, preparing it and assessing it. By way of background, our family business is a long-term land developer, particularly focused in regional areas. I'm here with my father, who's been in the industry for over 50 years. Anytime we're looking at any sites, we take a really long-term approach, and we look forward to becoming part of the Peterborough community in the future. On a personal note, I've spent time in Peterborough with my young family, and I can really recognise the character and community in the town, and as you say, it's quite close-knit. And I think I'll look at our application now and really see a lot of those elements from the town, including the linkages and the open space reserves in it. Since our application, our planning team has worked really closely with the council officers, and the plans have evolved through the process. Appreciate the application has there's a lot of views from the people of Peterborough regarding the application, and we've made changes through the application process along with the referral authorities and council officers' input. I won't really touch on the planning elements. That's really Fiona's strong area, but I believe the development's going to be a really good outcome for the site and Peterborough in general. So respectfully, I ask the councillors to support the officer's recommendation to approve the subdivision. Appreciate the opportunity to talk, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to respond.
Thanks for your presentation. Councillors, any questions at all? Yeah, Councillor Foster.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Delaney. I'll ask you the same question I asked Ms. Castley, just in relation to the staging, and I appreciate Ms. Castley answered the question in terms of when you might start.
Yeah.
But over what timeframe do you see the full 3 stages evolving?
To be completely honest, it's really difficult to estimate that. So, and that's why Mrs. Castley probably went with the start, because that's what we can, to a degree, control. Our intention is on the basis of approval and engineering approvals to start this summer. It's really important to get started in summer. And then it's probably a 12-month process to construct that first stage. Subsequently, it's going to be dictated by the demand within the township. I know some residents have raised, when we spoke to them, this concern that there would be immediately 53 new houses right next door. But realistically, it is dictated by the demand within the township. And I suppose that's what we provide by subdividing the land, that opportunity for someone to come and buy a house, and either as a holiday house or as a permanent person. And without that land there, the opportunity is not there. So it will be dictated over the next couple of years what the demand in Peterborough is, and there's a lot of factors that roll into that as well.
Any other councillors wish to ask any other questions? Councillor Lucas.
Do you think you've provided enough actual public open space?
I believe so. So in the public open space, there's 2 components of it. There's one that relates to drainage reserves. I can't give you the total figure off the top of my head, but it's in excess of the 5% in total. That's the general expectation of a subdivision. I think we're at over 4% of what they call passive open space that we're providing. Then on top of that, there's open space related to drainage reserves. In effect, the open space on that site would be more than most and more than the statutory requirements traditionally.
Follow-up. Is there any public open space that's not tied with the water reserve or the drainage system? So just, a quarter-acre block anywhere that in the middle of the site that we could use for a playground, say?
So on those sites, there is walkways all through those public open spaces. The whole spaces aren't used for drainage reserve solely. And some of those components of it are, you've got the walkways to the south and to the west. I'd have to have a look at the levels, but I believe it's Reserve B. There's space near where the road bends to the right, or, park benches and whatnot. So there was some discussion with council regarding playgrounds and whatnot, but I believe there wasn't a demand there because of Irvine reserves nearby.
Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to ask any other questions? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to clarify, may I invite public participant Matthew Bowden, who's presenting online. Bear with us as we connect him. Also presenting on item 2.4, planning application PL 23-235.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Hi, Mr. Bowden, how are you?
Very well. Can you hear me okay?
Just ask if you can turn your camera on, please.
Hold
Just
on.
there.
Hang on.
Ah, great. Yeah, Ripper, there we are.
No worries. Good, thanks.
Mr.
I was just listening
Thank you for your time. Just to let you know, you've got 5 minutes to present, and then we'll open up for questions for councillors to you.
No worries.
So yeah, when you're over to you, Mr. Bowden.
No, I had to turn my camera off. I had a delay on the video that I was just listening to. Yes, thank you. As you're aware, and I've been told, there's quite a bit of interest on this development in Peterborough because it's not the only development going on in Peterborough. As you're aware, there's a 21 lot development going on just to the west of the old caravan park development next door to the Antares estate, which hasn't been built out at this stage. And about half the 21 has been sold. And this started as a much bigger project and it's now reduced to 53. So I appreciate the fact that it's been backwards and forwards and there's been some redesigns. I recognise that. And let me be clear, Peterborough, it's not about stopping the development. It's in any shape or form. It's about getting this to something that is acceptable to all parties. I've taken the time to travel and visit some of the West Rock developments, the Delaney's that have done, and as they said, regional. I'd call it more peri-urban growth corridors. So I visited one at Kilmore, and it was a mess when I got there. It basically had nearly gutters touching each other in places. I know that's a bit to do with building and the building code and the planning. But it wasn't a particularly pleasant place to be. It was very much urban. And I've looked at their developments and I believe that they're very much a cookie cutter return on investment style approach. They had no connection really to the area down at Peterborough. And I think it's a business decision and an opportunistic approach. That's my view. As far as the reserves are concerned, I suppose that's some of the concerns we've had at our meetings, which Jim Dukas has been involved with us, and his support has been much appreciated. I suppose some of the concerns of the reserve, we look at A and B, they have sedimentation basins in them, and they have a path around the outside, and then there's sort of what they call a reserve attached to it. That's the area that John was referring to. It's got a walkway sort of running adjacent to both of those water reserves. And I suppose my question is, has there been consideration to fencing? We've got a relatively high density population once this is complete, with children running around that has access to water. I suppose that is a concern. When you do a development, is it fenced off? How are they protected from that area? Because no doubt there'll be reeds growing and that type of thing throughout the development to deal with the water. So I suppose that's a concern we have, and has that been looked at by the council? The other one was the ingress and the egress. There's one road in and there's only one road out. I know there's bushfire mitigation plans that have been looked at. That is a concern of ours as well, I suppose, because 53 is one of the larger developments of Peterborough. And it will get very congested once it gets full and cause a lot of traffic congestion out onto the old Peterborough Road. So I suppose they're our concerns. I know they've addressed some issues on lot sizes. We would have liked to have seen them bigger. And to Jim's point, we would love to see a playground and some more open spaces within this development, which allows for better wildlife corridors coming through, because we do have a lot of snipe and protected bird species that live in and around our estuaries that travel through here. So they're the concerns I suppose we still have that I'd like the council to take into consideration when they're looking at finalising or what should they be putting as some guidelines to the building of this development. So, and I speak on behalf of the Peterborough Residents Group. I'm the chair of the Peterborough Residents Group. And the other thing I'd like to sort of, I suppose, for forward planning, very, very short notice for us to be prepared. And I think that's not in the best interest of our community to give us. I got a call yesterday from Jim asking had I been contacted, and I hadn't been contacted. So not until yesterday afternoon. So
30 seconds, Mr. Bowden. Apologies,
Like-
I didn't give you a.
that's all right.
It's
I'd
up.
just like to put that, but that pretty much sums it up from our perspective, and I'd like those things taken and noted and taken into consideration, please, before an approval takes place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Right on 5 minutes. Yeah. Any councillors have any questions for Mr. Bowden? Councillor Foster.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, through you, and thank you very much for your presentation. Is it Bowden or Bowden, just so I get it right?
It's Bowden. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bowden.
Apologies, Mr. Bowden.
Bowden.
Just wanted to get it right. So if I'm listening to you, some of your concerns are to do with the developer's previous projects, and you're concerned that that might play out here. Is that how I'm hearing you?
Yes, from what I've reviewed, having a look at West Rock's developments, they all seem to be in a peri-urban design. So they're designed for return on investment, as any development is. I get that. But I find that it's a little bit disjointed we're a long way from Kilmore and the peri-urban growth of Melbourne, which is where the development company is based and their predominant work is based. When he said regional, I think that's stretching a little bit. We're remote regional. The township of Peterborough is a hamlet or a village, whatever you want to call it, with a very small resident population. And the uptake of current developments has been relatively slow. And I know that'll play into stage 1, 2 and 3. But yes, I'm just a little concerned that it's sort of, yep, we want to come and do and get out. And yeah, I mean, when I asked the Delaney's, when they came and consulted with us at the Peterborough Residents Group, I said, Delaney, it's a very synonymous name of the area, but it's a different spelling. And I said, what's your connection to Peterborough? They said, none. So I rest my case.
A second question. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Bowden, do you feel that your concerns...
No, it's Bowden. It's actually Bowden, not Bowden.
Oh, sorry, Bowden, Mr. Bowden, beg your pardon. So do you feel that your concerns have been heard throughout the process and fed into the proposal that's before us today?
Somewhat, because it's been reduced in lot numbers to accommodate some larger sedimentary ponds to deal with the water management. I still feel that, no, we haven't been heard in our entirety, in the sense that we need more open spaces. I mean, obviously, the design of it is for, obviously, retirees, but there'll be young families that want to come to Peterborough, as is the case with other developments around Peterborough. And yes, we do have the urban reserve across the old Peterborough Road, which will only get busier in time. So there needs to be a crossing included there. Because of the other things that we've mentioned is to the council is we have a very small, limited commercial zoning. Has there been any consideration to commercial zoning to pick up the serviceability of the growth out on the western side of Peterborough? So I think we've been heard somewhat, and to give the Delaney some credit, they've gone back and they've redesigned and come back with another plan and addressed a few of our points that we put forward. But some of the documents attached in their application are old documents. They still they haven't been updated. They still refer to larger numbers of buildings. They date back to 2022 and 23, so they're quite old. So I think they've sort of tried to address the minimum of what they had to try and get a through plan.
Any other councillor wish to ask any questions? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, really, Mayor. Mr. Bowden, I just would like to know if in the future there's an opportunity to influence or change the land use strategy for Peterborough, is that something that you'd want to be involved in to address concerns like these?
Address that, sorry, I just missed the last bit.
Sorry, I was just asking you if there is an opportunity in the future to influence or change the land use strategy for Peterborough, is that something that you would be interested in being involved in to address concerns like these?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We have an open book. Jim's fully aware of this. I speak to Jody McNamara on a regular basis about other things. We're trying to develop the historical centre in town, which was in the original plannings for the town hall, which Chris Bowdenet's done, and I've been engaging with him, bringing up those plans and getting them updated so that we can get, as Jim quotes it, shovel ready, so that we may apply for certain funding to help build that, attract some of our artefacts back. So I'm involved in that at the moment. We've just done the acoustics in the hall to make it more serviceable and usable by different community groups. We are very much, the feedback I get as a representative of the Peterborough Residents Group is to keep Peterborough as a village and a hamlet. So less is more. We don't want what has happened in Port Campbell. That is resounding volumes very high in that regard. So less signage, less parking, less town. We've had a streetscape plan, a town plan that came over that we all got involved with. And I've said to all councillors that we've engaged with over time, please don't, no one in the town likes surprises. We like to know if something's going to happen. A few years ago, Blair Street suddenly got curb and channeling and a footpath put in, and we were completely unaware of it. Someone told me it just rose to the top of the pile and got done. We don't like surprises. We like to know, we like to be involved, and we like to have input into what's going on in our town. So, which should be beneficial to the budgeting of mine, because we are less is more, and it's very specific what we do want.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you. Any other councillors wish to ask any other questions? Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Bowden. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate the time. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. We will now call for a motion to resume standing orders. Councillor Murray, seconder, Councillor Foster. Yes. Now I'll call for a vote to resume standing orders. Those in favour, 6-0. Governance rules. We now must call for a motion to hear items 2.4 on today's agenda, given we have public participants here. So I'll now seek a mover.
So moved me.
Councillor Foster, thank you. And a seconder. Councillor Murray, thank you. And those voting for the motion, thank you. To hear the item 2.4.
Correct.
Thank you. That is carried 6-0. Thank you, councillors. Now I'd like to smack the mark. Planning application item 2.4, PL 23-235, stage residential subdivision of 53 lots of Old Peterborough Road, Peterborough. Lot 1 on PS 915697E. Ms. McNamara, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors. Planning application PL 23235 assessment has been prepared. It is in response to an application for 53 residential lots, and that is staged into 3 parts. There's also creation of 4 reserves that will accommodate stormwater management and public open space. There's a new internal road and shared path network, some on-site stormwater treatment, partial removal and realignment of an existing drainage easement, and there is some minor removal of native veg within the Old Peterborough Road. The application has been with us for a couple of years now. It has been out on public consultation and notice, I think up to 3 times in response to amended plans received, and we have received 7 objections to the proposal, including one from the Peterborough Residents Group. We have the assessment attached within the report with a recommendation and conditions attached. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms McNamara. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Leinster.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, Ms McNamara, I think I heard then that the Peterborough Residents Association has, I think the comment was, we want to keep Peterborough as a village. I'm just wondering, as councillors, are there, in your view, specific levers that we can use to shape the character or the nature of places like Peterborough that don't impinge on a landholder's right to develop their private land within planning guidelines, of course?
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Foster. I think in relation to this particular application, as has been mentioned, there are future applications required for development of the lots proposed here. So that will provide for future opportunity to have any input into that design. Council are also undertaking a land use strategy that will help guide the next 10 to 15 years of places like Peterborough, and an opportunity to review the strategic direction of those townships. That might be something that we can look at to review guidelines and start to instill the heritage core village character that has been talked about. Thank you very much.
Any other councillor wish to ask any other councillor?
Yes, thank you. There's a drainage easement through the property, so I suppose Mr. Arnott would be the gentleman to answer. Is there an easement over that drain?
Through the Mayor, I believe there to be, yes, an easement currently in existence which doesn't align to the current stormwater infrastructure.
So what happens when it's under the planning scheme? It's going to be realigned. What happens there? Do we move the easement with the realignment?
Through the Mayor. So the realignment of the easement is to line up with the underground stormwater pipes, which won't go through 10.
How many lots will it go through? Sorry?
It particularly is amended within lot 10.
Right. And then it goes, how many lots does it go through altogether?
Through the Mayor. I'm not actually sure on that, but I can have a look and get back to you, take on notice.
Okay.
Cover reports.
No point getting back if we're voting today. Couple more to Ms McNamara. Under your assessment, there's a sentence that says the design and layout will provide for increased housing density and will adequately respond to the village landscape character. So how would an increase in housing density respond to village character? Wouldn't it be the opposite?
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Dukas. I would assume the assessments in relation to the requirements of the design and development overlay, which do characterise this particular part of Peterborough within an area that mandates a lot size of around 700 metres squared. I think in terms of density, it will increase density of Peterborough. It is proposing 53 lots, and that's acknowledged. Lot sizes are assessed as being met for the neighbourhood characters.
Okay.
Yeah, one more, thank you. Under the approval of an application to subdivide, under the heading provisions and location of reserves for public open space and community facilities, the response is there is public open space areas proposed in reserves C and D. I believe D is only a footpath. And small areas of public open space in reserves A and B, where the sedimentation basins and wetlands are not positioned to provide a reasonable amount of open space for future residents. So if I'm reading that correctly, they are not suitable as public open space. Yet the officers have gone ahead with it and said it's a satisfactory amount of public open space. So it can't be both.
Mayor, Thank you, councillor Dukas. The assessments in relation to the 4 reserves that have been set aside, 2 are for the drainage and detention areas. That's reserve A and B. What that means is the amenity or informal open space can be associated with those reserves, but not allocated as formal public open space in terms of the 5% contribution that's required to be made. Reserves C and D are proposed to accommodate that calculation. So the sediment reserves are not intended for dedicated public open space, from what I understand.
So C and D would amount to 5%?
Through Mayor, they don't meet 5% fully. The balance of the shortfall is made up in monetary contribution.
Right. So if I'm correct, D on the map seems to be a footpath.
Through Mayor, it is a lineal reserve that connects to the similar type reserve to the south. Correct.
Is that fancy speak for a footpath?
Through Mayor, you can call it a footpath. It is a pathway. It's an access way. That's what we understand it to be.
So we're assuming that an access way, which is a footpath, whether it's 1 metre wide or 2 metres wide, it's still only a footpath. You couldn't drive a fire truck down there, could you? Or could you?
Through you, Mayor, you possibly could, depending on the truck and the size.
That'd be handy for the locals. They want to get a quick getaway from the police. Okay, no, that'll do me for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to ask any questions? Thank you. Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Murray, a seconder. Councillor Foster. Councillor Mover, and by Councillor Murray to speak.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I want to acknowledge that this proposal, this development is a big change for the Peterborough community. I know there are many people in that community that care deeply about protecting the character and the environment, and I respect and understand that. Our role as councillors is to listen to the concerns of the community.
Sorry, Councillor Dukes, you wait, Councillor.
Can I wait, Billy, or do I have to do it now?
You can wait because Councillor Murray is
Right,
speaking.
because I want to foreshadow a motion.
You can wait, Councillor Dukes.
So our role as councillors is to listen to the concerns of the community, but we also have a responsibility to make decisions fairly, and in this case, in accordance with planning and statutory requirements. So that means considering community views alongside expert advice, the planning scheme and the proper process for making these decisions. This application has been before council and the community for around 3 years now. It's gone through a number of changes, 3 rounds of public notice. Objections were received, heard, considered, and plans changed in response to issues raised by the community. No development is ever going to please everyone, and I understand that some in the Peterborough community may still oppose this proposal, and I do respect that view. And I personally would love to see more public open space and play and nature areas in all of our new developments. However, our job today is to ask whether there is a valid planning reason to refuse this application. And having read the report and considered the conditions, I do not believe there is. So for those reasons, I support the officer recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. And before I go to the seconder, Councillor Dukas.
I'd like to move that we defer this application till the next council meeting.
So you're foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, yeah, a deferral.
Yep. So we will, that is this motion. Councillor Foster as a seconder.
Yeah, I'd like to reserve my right. If I could.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Foster. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Ross.
I'm not sure whether for or against it.
It's okay.
I do think that we've let Peterborough down with our planning scheme. Yeah, I'm really disappointed. Although paying hard to come up with this design, 56 houses with sediment basins and marshlands and a little area right tucked down in the corner in a a low lying area that's going to be our swamp. You couldn't call that open public space. So yes, I'm torn between what we have to do in the planning authority and the outcome.
Councillor Ross, does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Speaking for the motion, Commissioner, pause for a quick second. Yeah, yeah, just one sec. Yeah. Yeah, just clarifying in terms of the governance, in terms of Councillor Ducas's foreshadow motion. We might seek some clarification on that, just to clarify for the process. Mr. Epstein.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mayor, and I'll refer also with the help of our governance officers. But you mentioned that should the current motion not be passed, that through the foreshadowing would then defer. So that's what I heard. So I just want to be clear. Now that Councillor Ducas has notified an intent to foreshadow, the next two possible steps being, and please correct me purely if I've got this wrong, but the options moving forward from here are either to progress the current motion in its current form and put it to the vote, or before we reach that point, Councillor Ducas at any point in time now can put a motion forward, an alternative motion to that, and then take the vote to that. That fails, then we refer back to the original motion. Yeah. So so I just want to clarify there our next steps. Yep, which I'm getting a yes. Yep. Okay. So from here, sorry, is there a question?
We're getting nods and shakes. You need to clarify that from a governance perspective, if that's correct.
That's correct. Yeah. Is there any questions we can answer? Clarification?
I'll go with the experts on that.
Ever evolving and learning as we go, and we want to make sure we're tight on our governance. Yeah. So I'll just go back to clarify if anyone wishes to speak for or against the motion. None. So I was going to speak. I'm speaking for the motion. With what everyone says so far, it's a complex. Any large development in a small area. This population of last ABS stats on Peterborough is 322. So it's a very small, close-knit community down at Peterborough who care greatly, like all our communities that are in the Great Shire of Mine. Complex to do any large development. As I said, there's been, I think, nearly up to 3 years of the process. There's 54 planning conditions. They met with the community and the lot size has been increased and the reserve. I understand, not all people are supportive of it and some are quite probably against it, but there's also a lot of people that, want to purchase land in Peterborough, in Moy, housing targets at a national level that are trying to be met. I believe there's been 3 opportunities for community input. Process is right near the end is, something we're always, evolving and looking at. In terms of, statutory requirements, it meets all the statutory requirements. It meets all the planning kind of, the thorough processes that have been gone through in terms of, big roads, CFA, all the other kind of, bodies that kind of look out in large developments. So it meets all the requirements. So I will be supportive of the application. Do I return to the seconder?
Through you keep progressing. And just to reiterate, at any time Councillor Ducas has foreshadowed, he has the ability now to either move a motion or amendment before you ask for a vote to the original motion. So that's up to Councillor Ducas to do that any time. But you've got one more step through, move something up, and the seconder has reserved the right as well. Councillor Foster.
So,
Councillor Ducas.
what do you say I'm able to do?
So, So just to help clarify, through you, Mayor, so under our governance rules, so once as you've done as a councillor, foreshadows an intention to move a motion or amendment at a later stage in the meeting, you're able to do that at any stage in the debate, which you have done. So now we wait for you to do that. So right now we're progressing towards a vote being cast for the original motion, unless at some point before we reach that stage, you exercise that option to which you foreshadowed to put forward an alternative motion. So you haven't done that as yet. So that's
foreshadowing motion is doing it. Well, I'll do it. I now will go from foreshadowing to the real thing and propose a motion to defer till the next council meeting.
If I can, we can take a pause if we need to. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have sort of advice, the foreshadowed motion appears if the current motion is not successful. No. I'm saying no.
Yeah, through you, Mayor.
Yeah.
No, that's not the case, but
yeah. Wouldn't be the first time I've been wrong, Mr. Epstein.
However, now through you, Mayor, now Councillor Dukas is putting forward an amendment. What I would suggest there, Mayor, if you like, is maybe we take a 5-minute pause to clarify our governance here, and then we can resume, suspend standing orders. Let us clarify the governance here, because I think there's a need to do that.
Correct.
It's very important we get this right.
Yes.
And we could take a 5-minute pause. We can confer with our governance officers, resume the meeting, and clearly explain those steps as per our governance rules.
I think we need to. Yeah. I think we need to do that because there's some uncertainty. There's some nodding and shaking going on. Whenever we want to make sure we're super tied in. So we will just take a 5-minute recess. So I'll call for a motion to suspend standing orders. Councillor Murray, a seconder. Councillor Foster. All those in favour? That's carried unanimous 6-0. We will suspend the live. We'll suspend the live feed. We're going to clarify exactly where to from here. Does the gallery need to
be back online?
We'll be back online in the next 5 to 10 minutes. We just clarify. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back to the ordinary council meeting, Tuesday, 28th of April. Just had some governance clarification there, so thank you for your patience. I'll call for a motion to resume standing orders. Councillor Taylor, and a seconder, Councillor Ross. All those in favour? Is carried 6-0. Thank you, councillors. To clarify, we are on planning application PL 23-235 stage residential subdivision in Peterborough. Item 2.4. I will now ask, does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Dukas.
Thank you, Mayor. I will speak against the motion and for my deferral. Thank you. And the reason being that, as we've heard today from Mr. Bowden and the residents group and other residents that have objections, I'm happy to have a new development in Peterborough. But I think that public open space is a big issue, very big issue, number one. The actual easement, the drainage easement, I haven't got a map of. I don't know where it's going, and it's going to be another issue because at the end of the drains, it's going to flow out into an open swale drain, I believe.
Councillor Dukas, sorry, I can't ask questions of the gallery.
No, I'm talking.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I think the settlement. Oh well, Mr. Arnold will find out. He's onto it. The settlement question, I think 53 blocks isn't the issue. I think the block sizes, to me, makes a difference. Without losing the number, and I don't know what the developer thinks, but we could take a 700 or 800 metre block, cut it into 4, and take another one the same and double it, and have a variety. instead of having an average of 700, there's only a couple over 800, a lot, in the 600s, nearly 700s. Let's diversify the blocks and move them around to make it look like it's an old town where you have little blocks, big blocks, all size blocks. As I mentioned, the drainage, public open space, the drainage scheme, which I've read, and I'm no drainage expert. I don't know if anybody at the Shire can read that report and say confidently that it's going to work or not work. Maybe we need someone to have a look at that. There are a couple of other issues. Electricity, there's a power easement somewhere in that block. So I need the answers, and I think the community needs the answers to those. So my deferral isn't stop just the chance to talk with the developers and the community if they want to have another go and see if we can massage it to make it more of a friendly subdivision for the people of Peterborough and anyone else who wants to buy one of the blocks. Not everybody wants the 700s. Some want 1,500. Some might only want 300. Depends whether you want to build a little unit or whether you want a big block for a shed. People might even move the business there, work from home, have the shed. Great big boats. We've seen the size of the boats that go to Port Fairy Portland for the tuna fishing. You'll need a 1,500 metre square block to fit them in. So that's all I'm asking the deferral for. It's not cold and hard. Let's kick it in the guts, get rid of it. It's just to see if we can massage it around with the Peterborough Residents Group, with the developers. Let's get in the room together and just talk about it and see if we can come up with something that is, I suppose, unique to Peterborough. As Mr. Bowden said, we don't want little boxes on the hillside. Anyway, that's my reason for deferral.
Thank you, Councillor Dukas. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Okay, I will now return to the seconder, Councillor Foster, who reserved the right.
Thank you, Mayor. This one is something I've been grappling with. I do have sympathy for the Peterborough residents who would like to retain their village atmosphere. I feel the same about where I live, but development happens, time marches on, and I think the market will ultimately dictate what size of block is affordable and needed. There is opportunity for the community to have a say still when the planning applications start to come forward for the individual lots, and also for the work that Ms McNamara has flagged is happening in Peterborough down the track. So there's been 3 years of work so far and still quite some way to go before we see anything on the ground. Looking through this, as Councillor Murray said at the outset, if we're looking at this impassively, taking the emotion out of it, it ticks all of the boxes in terms of what we require in a planning sense. I can't see any reason why we would say no to this, other than emotive reasons or a feeling of change is hard. So today I'm going to support this motion going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Councillor Murray as the mover to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just again, it's our responsibility today to make a decision based on the planning merits of this application and the information before us. The proposal's been through a lengthy statutory process, significant assessment, numerous public consultations and multiple design changes in response to feedback. And the recommendation before us, it doesn't grant unconditional approval. It is a permit with very extensive requirements and conditions. And I remain of the view that there is not sufficient planning basis to refuse this application, and I am satisfied that the community has had a fair and meaningful opportunity to participate throughout this 3-year-long process. So I do remain in support of the officer recommendation.
Councillor Murray, I will now put the motion to the vote. Those for the motion, Councillor Foster, Murray, Taylor and Lockett. And those against the motion, Councillor Dukas and Councillor Ross. The motion is carried 4-2. Motion is carried. We now move to item 2.1, the Community Assistance Fund, round 2. Mr. Arnott, introduce the report.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The Community Assistance Fund is one of the practical ways in which council supports the people, groups and volunteers who help make our towns and communities strong, connected and vibrant. Across Moyne, local clubs, committees and community organisations play an enormous role in delivering events, improving shared spaces, supporting participation and creating opportunities for people to come together. This fund helps provide that extra support to turn good local ideas into real community outcomes. This report presents the applications received for round 2 of the 25-26 Community Assistance Fund and the officer recommendations for consideration. Each application has been assessed against the adopted policy to ensure a fair, transparent and consistent approach, with consideration given to community benefit, alignment with council priorities, project readiness and the applicant's own contribution. The aim is to make sure council's investment supports projects that deliver meaningful and lasting value for our communities across the Shire. I'm pleased to bring the recommendation before councillors for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Arnott. Do we have any questions at all, councillors? No questions. Do I have a mover?
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Dukas, thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Murray as the mover, Councillor Dukas.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Well, this is the Community Assistance Fund round 2. We've been through them before. They're all great projects. Those that receive their funding, I think, all bar one, is that correct, Mr. Arnott?
Through the Mayor.
I think, yeah, it's only one, and that's for technical reasons. So congratulate everybody that's put in for these funding arrangements. And I do note, there's one here, I'll read a note of, the Wangoon Cricket Club got their money, 7.5, for it's noted $40,000 project. In actual fact, it's a $54,000 project. So, Jack, keep those figures high, mate. The higher they are, the better the chance you have of getting money. So, congratulations to everybody and good luck going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Dukas. Councillor Murray, yes, there's a seconder.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I love this one. I love that this is one of my favourite things that we get to do as a council. We don't decide on them, of course, but we do get to hopefully pull out some big novelty checks and have some photos, because it's great. It's a way, it helps the grassroots clubs and organisations around the Shire. And I just wanted to comment, there is a note in the report, given the oversubscription of the Community Assistance Fund, that there are a number of applicants recommended to reapply for the CAF funding round 1, 26-27. So I hope that they do, and yeah, really look forward to seeing how these clubs and organisations utilise the money. It's a great one.
Right. Thank you, Councillor Murray. Does anyone wish to speak for or against Councillor Taylor?
Thank you. Just speaking for and fairly briefly, just that I think it's really good to see that the recipients are from a number of different places around the Shire. So the grants have been spread to a lot of different towns. So,
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Ross. Thank you.
Yes, I was surprised that didn't get anything from our youth. So I did say last year I expected some big things, some new projects, and they let me down.
They're not allowed on social media, so they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Just trying to think of the song who wrote it, You Can't Blame the Youth, but yeah, thank you, Councillor Ross. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against? I now return to the mover.
No need. No need.
I will now put the motion to the vote. Those for the motion, that is carried 6. Right, thank you, councillors. We now move on to item 2.2 MS 1013, installation of box culverts, Conowari Lane. Director of Assets and Community, Mr. Arnott, to reduce the report.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you again. Councillors, this report relates to the installation of box culverts as part of the Conowari Lane Flood Resilience Project, a jointly funded project by Council and through round 2 of the Commonwealth Government's Disaster Ready Fund. The project will improve flood resilience in and around the Hopkins River floodplain through culvert upgrades, road reconstruction, and edge protection works to reduce flood impacts and improve road reliability. Design work is now complete and culvert supply has already been procured. This report seeks endorsement of the contractor for installation works through Council's hire of plant, equipment and haulage panel. The Office of Recommendation is that Council endorse the award of MS 1013 to Civil Now for the tendered price $575,046.20.
Thank you, Mr. Arnott. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Ross.
Mr. is there any chance we can flood between now and June? Based on current weather.
Hold you to it, Mr. Arnott.
Through the mayor, I hope not, but there's always that chance.
I think and hope so.
Anyone else wish to have any other questions? No questions? Do I have a mover, please? Does someone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Ross.
It's going to be your fault now.
And a seconder?
Yeah, I can say that.
Councillor Taylor. Yeah. Councillor Ross is the mover. Thank you.
Nothing further except flood.
Councillor Taylor.
Oh, no, I don't have anything to.
Any further to add? Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion?
Yeah, just
Councillor
a quick
Lucas.
one for you. The road treatment, once the culverts go in, are we going to do that special rubbery stuff to make sure that if we do get a flood, because these culverts won't alleviate all the flooding?
Councillor Dukas, you're speaking for the motion. Is that a question? Or
Yes, that is a question.
Okay, if you could.
Well, I want to
Mr.
support it, but
please.
if Mr. Arnott says you're not getting your rubber road, then I'm going to go against it.
Okay, if you could in question time, please, Councillor Dukas. Clarification, point of clarification.
I can ask that any time.
Yeah,
Yeah, clarification.
thank you.
Through the mayor, and thank you for the clarification. We're undertaking pavement design for the road component, which will be delivered in the 26-7 financial year. We expect that to be a type of stabilised pavement, yet to be determined which type, which will be flood resilient and will include an asphalt wearing course.
Thank you.
Do you wish to speak?
I know that
Yeah, that clarifies.
convinced me which road should go.
Okay. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? No. Councillor Ross has the mover. To sum up, all good. I'll now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour of the motion, carried 6-0. Motion carried. Thank you. Item 2.3, Council Collections Policy and Procedures. Director of Assets and Community again, Mr. Arnott, to introduce the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This report presents the proposed council collections policy and procedure, which provides a clear governance framework for managing artworks, historical items and documents in council's care, and how council responds when items are offered. Council has long acted as custodian of these items across its facilities and community spaces. However, they currently sit outside existing asset management programs and are managed with varying levels of documentation and oversight. Policy does not create a new collection program or additional costs. It provides a practical and consistent framework for decision-making for accepting, declining, transferring or de-accessioning items. The Officer recommendation is that Council adopt the Council Collections Policy and Procedure. Thank you.
Start. Any questions, councillors? No questions? Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Taylor as seconder, Councillor Foster. Councillor Taylor as the mover. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Look, I'm very happy to support this motion to adopt the council collections policy and procedures. The document recognises that we're not a collecting organisation, but that we do have many historical, commemorative and art objects in it across council that are our responsibility. And so it gives a clear direction on how to manage those items.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Foster as the seconder.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, as a bit of a history nerd, which I am, I think a nerd is correct. I deeply value any effort to conserve and preserve our history. And this is local history that we're talking about. And I'm really curious to see what is unearthed in the process of doing an audit. There could be some treasures lurking in some of our towns and halls, and you just never know. So I think this is a really positive move, and I'm very happy to support it.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion?
A clarification.
Yeah, Councillor Lucas, you may.
If we're going to hire someone, or we got someone in the Shire that's going to do it, so they will start with a list, or will they go hall to hall? I don't know, rec reserve to rec reserve, or how will this all be undertaken?
Through the Mayor. At this point, there's no commitment to moving into that space. However, we are intending through our operating budget and our current staffing to start collating a list of all of the items in council's care. And we'll bring that back into council for discussion later in the year.
Right. So, all right, council-owned town hall, honour boards, etc., they're owned by the council, or are they owned by the community?
Through the Mayor, that's what some of that work will determine. But generally speaking, those types of things in council-owned spaces will be council-owned and managed, yes.
And in DSE halls, we just use halls because it's easier. If it's a DSE hall, anything like an honour board would be owned by the state government or the community.
Through the Mayor, probably getting into areas I can't quite answer confidently. However, I believe that.
Right. Anyway, going forward, we can get answers to that because there's two different types of hall, and you know how people like to hang on to their artifacts.
Yeah.
Not a bad word for me, is it?
Councillor Lucas, do you wish to speak for or against?
No, I'm showing up. Thank
Your
you.
clarification?
No, all good. Yeah, let's put it to the vote.
Okay, I'll now return to Councillor Taylor as the chair.
Thank you.
Put it to the vote. I will now put it to the vote. Those in favour of the motion? Motion is carried. Consider it. Item 2.5, because item 2.4 has been heard. Councillor. Very good, Councillor Lucas. Councillor endorsed Corporate Events Director of Environment, Economy and Place, Ms McNamara, to introduce the report. Thank you.
Yeah. The corporate endorsed events report outlines a bit of a schedule of events that have come to be through community requests, council law requests, and over time have established themselves on our regular acknowledgement calendar. The purpose of the report is to probably make clear what those events are for the remainder of the year. And in times past as well, we've had sort of no, I guess, formal schedule. And so therefore we're trying to be as transparent and a no surprises approach as much as possible. Might open up for questions if that's okay, but there is a recommendation.
Are any questions, councillors? Councillor Taylor.
Through you, Mayor. Ms McNamara, I was just interested to know how the corporate events were chosen or selected. Some of them are not neutral, they're advocacy based, and I wondered how they came to council. Is it through external organisations approaching council, or how did that happen?
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Probably to date, it's been through either a community request or a council law request. There has been some, I guess, benchmarking against our neighbours and other councils, including Metro, to understand what events they may also acknowledge. That's not to say the system's perfect, always a good idea to refine, but that's how it's going to be right now.
Any other councillors wish to ask any questions? No questions. Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Jinx and Councillor Foster is the second. Thank you. Switch around next time if there's Jinx. Councillor Murray as the mover. Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. This is new to council, not the events, but that we have a very clear list and a very clear understanding of what we'll do on those days and whether they'll be acknowledgements only in terms of social media posts or whether they'll actually be events. And I think that's really good to to clarify for our community and for councillors and for officers. It gives some structure and transparency, I guess, to how we plan to deliver these events across the year. And importantly, these events aren't just symbolic dates. They're an opportunity to bring people together to recognise achievement, reflect on important moments, and to support inclusion and participation across our community. This has been informed, as the report states, by research across other councils, community feedback and councillor suggestions, including both long-standing and newer events that reflect the diversity of our community and the issues that matter to our community. I think it's also important, to recognise that the intent of this framework is to ensure council continues to be respectful, welcoming and representative of everyone in our diverse community, and that we create opportunities for all people to feel included and acknowledged. So I'm happy to move this.
Thank you, Councillor.
Lost my voice a bit.
Councillor Foster as the seconder.
I'd like to reserve my right for a minute.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I'm going to speak against the adoption of the proposed corporate events calendar in its current form. Many events listed are valuable and unifying, such as Anzac and Remembrance Day, citizenship ceremonies, community awards, Volunteer Week, Men's Health Week, and World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, as these recognise service, responsibility, wellbeing and shared citizenship. However, my concern is that several proposed additions move beyond civic recognition into endorsement of contested identity-based or ideological causes, including Idaho Day, Pride Month, Wear a Purple Day and 16 Days of Activism. These are not neutral commemorations. They reflect particular social frameworks on issues where reasonable people may disagree. Adopting these events risks turning our council from a neutral civic institution into an advocate for one side of deeply contested cultural and philosophical debates. It compels ratepayers, regardless of their views on biological reality, family or history, to fund activism that may marginalise dissenting individuals. True inclusion means respecting every person's dignity and right to disagree, not requiring institutional celebration of specific ideologies. So I think council should be a neutral civic institution, serving all residents equally, not an advocate in these contested debates. I therefore believe our events calendar should focus on broad community events that unite people, and that scarce public resources should prioritise for services benefiting the whole community.
Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Ross.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on that, but I thought it was a bit themed. I would like to mix it up a bit. Maybe won't go through this year, but anyway, it's like Beef Week, that's a big thing in the rural community. Dairy Week, National Manufacturing Week, International Day of Potato, that's a UN declared one. Geothermal Day, Butchers Week.
That's a good one.
Councillor Dukas can do these.
Eggs and chips.
Councillor Ross has the floor. Thank you.
Lamb cutlets, Jim.
Sorry, lamb cutlets.
Yeah, so I'll be voting against it. I just would have liked to seen a few ticked off and mix up a bit with a bit more of a rural theme rather than going to a city-based council looking at their agenda. Yeah.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? I will speak for the motion. And to clarify, I suppose that additional events we discussed earlier can be added to the calendar with discussion. We've had time to discuss this. It's been brought forward at any time, any ideas that councillors bring forward, it's generally discussed. I would, however, like to point out, particularly one that was spoken about was 16 Days of Activism, which is about protecting women. domestic violence towards women in Australia. There is hugely alarming statistics on the domestic violence in Australia. And, you know, if any event was to be in our calendar for the year, I would look at it as the highest priority. Just you know, as a son who wouldn't be here without a mother, as the father of a daughter, I think that is the most important event on the calendar for the year. Yeah. I will now return to the seconder, Councillor Foster. You reserved your right.
Yeah, I did. Thank you, Mayor. I've said this before, my focus as a councillor is really to ensure that I do all that I can to ensure nobody gets left out or gets left behind. And in my view, inclusion isn't a nice to have, it's what ultimately determines whether a community works in the first place. So these events are all important to someone, and often to many someones. And as individuals, we don't have to celebrate all of these events as individual councillors. We don't have to mark them in any way. That's our choice. It doesn't compel anyone to mark these days. But I say again, they are important to some people. And recognising them is ultimately just a small thing we can do to honour difference and to make every person feel that they belong here in our shire. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Murray as the member.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Just wanted to reiterate, I guess, that had the opportunity to discuss this matter at length during workshop. Concerns, alternate views could be raised, considered prior to this decision. And a significant part of these dates, of these events, are ones that we have held in the past and have been informed by benchmarking with our neighbouring councils. We're not unique. We don't stand alone in these events. These are nationally, sometimes internationally recognised events. And to that point, there are a number of events on this list that I am morally opposed to, that don't align with my personal ideological opinion. It's not about me. It's not about any one individual person's opinion, I guess. It is about what we can do in the interests of the community as a whole. And I am more than happy to support this as it stands currently, and look forward to any other great events that councillors might suggest that we can add in throughout the course of the year.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. I will now put the votes for the motion. Councillor Foster, Lockett and Murray. Now votes against the motion. Councillor Dukas. Councillor, if you could keep your hands in the air, please. Councillor Ross and Councillor Taylor. Can't believe I'm using this for this motion, but given that the vote is tied, I will now use the numerical casting vote. Motion will be carried. Thank you, councillors. Item 2.6, Child Safety Policy Updates. Acting Director of Corporate and Governance, Mrs. Cooley, to introduce the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This report is to present the updated child safe policy for council endorsement. In response to an internal audit on child safe standards, council developed a comprehensive child safe strategy presented to council in October 2025. Parallel to this, council's child safe policy has been reviewed to align with this strategy and to address audit findings and the now 11 standards as opposed to the previously 7. Since the child safe strategy has been presented, there's been heightened regulatory community and sector-wide focus on child safety, particularly in the early years and community service settings. The updated policy establishes a clear and more contemporary framework for how council prevents, identified and responses to risks to children and young people, to align with current legislation and standards, to be consistent with best practice approaches, and be clear in articulating roles and responsibilities and expected behaviours. The policy recognises that child safety is not limited to early years services, but it is a whole of organisation responsibility, particularly given the breadth of our services and interaction with children. Recommendation before you today, council, is that council note that the policy review has been initiated to align with the child safe strategy and to address the recommendations arising from our 2024 strategic internal audit and our child safe standards, and to endorse the updated child safe policy. Thank you.
Fully, do we have any questions, councillors? Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Barry, seconder. Councillor Foster, thank you. Councillor Murray as the mover, thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Anything we could do to ensure the ongoing safety of children and young people is something I will always support. Happy to move this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Murray as the seconder. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. Great to see governments at work here to keep our most vulnerable little ones safe, and because every child should be safe. So very happy to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Foster, does any other council wish to speak for or against the motion? Yeah. Councillor Taylor.
Mayor, yeah, I'll strongly support the child protection, prevention of abuse. I am just aware that modern child safety frameworks are moving beyond safeguarding against abuse into broader cultural expectations. And so I hope that from a council perspective, it remains proportionate and transparent in cost and focused on actual child protection outcomes rather than unnecessary administrative expansion.
Councillor Taylor, does any other councillor wish to speak for or against the motion? I will speak for the motion. If there's one policy that should be on point, it's this policy. Protecting children is a human right, and it's protected under the Human Rights Charter. And if we can't get that right as a council, what are we doing here? So I think I really thank the officers for the time and effort and dedication that goes into this, but also the amazing amount of work which our maternal and early child health and our early years do in this space, because it's a very vulnerable and important space. So thank you. I encourage councillors to support. And to move it to sum up, Councillor Murray. Thank you. Nothing further. I'll now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. The motion is carried. All right. Thank you, councillors. Item 2.7, monthly financial report for March 2026. Acting Director of Corporate and Governance, Ms. Goodley, to introduce the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This report provides a snapshot of organisational financial performance as of the 31st of March 2026 and forms part of our regular oversight and responsibilities. The report includes updates on the year-to-date to-date key financial indicators, noting an underlying surplus of 1.8 million, details of current investment balances, 17.1 million investments in compliance to Council's investment policy, details of our overdue debtors, noting a reduction in the general debtors by 31,000 and rate debtors by 66,000 from the prior period, capital works completion of 15.5 million and budget variations. It is the officer's recommendation that the March 2026 finance report be received. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question in relation to fuel prices. So I think our CEO has been doing a marvellous job of keeping us apprised of the rising costs and the ultimate impact that's having on us as an organisation. And it's not pretty to hear about. But I note in this report that it does actually say that there's been no material, fuel prices have not had any material impact on the financial results to date. And I'm curious as to how that is the case, and it may just be a timing issue given that this report refers to the March period. So I'd just be interested in your thoughts on that.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your question, Councillor Foster. Yes, at this point we haven't seen that impact, and it is probably to do with timing. Particularly, it was around about the end of February with regards to fuel, the increase in fuel. We probably will notice something coming forward where we might be able to see those impacts. In relation to the operational changes and tweaks we are making, I'd probably refer to our CEO who probably answered that. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, Stein?
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the question, Councillor Foster. So we have made adjustments, so I'll talk to that in a second, but as you first said there, a bit of a timing difference. We are looking at the March report, so fuel costs were rising quickly during that period. We do operate bulk tanks and so forth that hold some of our fuel, which would have been purchased a little earlier in the month and possibly even in February. So I think we'll see much more extensively the impact on us in April. But to help offset that, we are adjusting how we operate. So we've done some things right across the fleet we operate to try and be a little bit smarter. Also, we've seen costs like bitumen increase. So the community might be aware of, for instance, we've only put out some information to our socials in the last couple of days where roadworks around Port Fairy, Koroit and Illawarra will be postponed until October. It's kind of the last, not even 10% of the resealing work we're doing for the year. But by postponing that work until October, it gives us the ability to hopefully avoid those high prices, still complete the work in the very foreseeable future and complete it in full. And I would note that we had planned to complete at least 80 kilometres of reseal this year. We've already done 90. So we're kind of ahead of target. So we're just doing things smartly to try and avoid those high costs at the moment.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Stein. Any other questions, councillors? And I'd also like to welcome Mr. Ralston, Manager of Finance and Property, to the chamber. Thank you. Mr. Dugas.
Thank you.
Beg your pardon, Councillor Dugas.
We'll go straight to Mr. Ralston. Hello, Craig. Debt collection on page 513. Could we, without getting into detail, could we get a report, Mr. Stein, on the debt collection situation? There's $1 million sitting there. So, because it might be a bit embarrassing for some, that find out where it is and what agency's doing what and how sympathetic they are. Are we going in, boots and all? That's one. On page 515, it's got debtors other outstanding, and it's year to date actually is 5.2 million. So adopted was 2.5, updated was 2.5, but actual. Can you tell me what that's made up of?
Through you, Mayor. So, so that includes also the emergency service volunteer levy that we administer on behalf of the state government.
That's 1.9 million.
That and the balance is other debtors. So whether it's the general debtors that we've spoken about home here, government debtors as well. So it's grants that we've invoiced and are waiting for those to be paid. So it's made up of a lot of categories in terms of
So there's grants that we haven't received yet, that we know we're getting, or are we hoping for?
Oh, no, the ones that we are getting, so that we would have invoiced but not actually received the income.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Everstott.
Sorry, through me, I'll just answer Councillor Dukes' first question, which was for more information for councillors on our debtors position. So just confirming that we'll be happy to provide an update through a couple of minutes with councillors on that position.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Everstott. Councillor Duke, any other questions?
Yes, there's a few. I'll go with, now we've done 52% of the capital works, 15 million. How do you think we'll get the other 50% done, or 48 to be exact? We won't get 100%, so how will we get to 90%, if that's what your target is?
Through the Mayor, and thank you for the question, Councillor Dugas. Our current percentage is sitting at 52 compared last year with 59 at the same point to the end of March. Last year we had a record result of 93% completion rate, and that is our goal, to achieve over 90% again. We set our target, I guess, at over 80% for capital works completion, and that's mindful of multi-year projects and the like, which we have income for, but expenditure is spread across two years or more. And that does mean that reaching 100% is unlikely. However, we are in a strong position to meet at least that 80% and reach towards that 90% completion rate.
Thank you. Couple on page 523 under grants, contributions, sale of assets. Well, the sale of assets is very low. Is there any reason for that?
So it's based on the major plant sales. So we're waiting on some of those plants to be purchased before.
So we don't have pick a certain point in time that's a good time to sell and buy new. We just do it as keep rolling them over.
Through the mayor, if I'm right on that. Typically in our tenders for new items or replacement items of plant, we offer a trade-in, which then aligns that income to when those purchases are made, and those are often in the second half of the year, and a couple of those have come through the council. The other point is that yes, we do sell some of our replaced equipment at auction and the like, and that can take some time to sell depending upon the need in the market.
And that would mean there's a difference in our depreciation if we get a whole lot of new plant.
Yes, although I might defer to Mr. Ross on that, it will.
All right, but the other one is capital grants. We're way behind. Do you think, I don't know what grants are coming, but do you think we'll get the same grants this year as last year?
So I guess we're still. I mean, a lot of the grants will be based on the completion of the project, so we get the final milestone on the completion. So that's why it's at lower than at 25%. So we'd still be expecting to get that full amount of 4.5 million by the end of the year.
Well, at workshop, I suppose we could get a list of what grants are due for completion and see what the figure comes to. Thank you. And one more. Mr. Arnott.
You may have to bring in the scroll.
Appendix B, budget variations. Koroyd, this one time again, Koroyd High Street renewal works. Then in the comments it says public transport funding and contribution from One on Water. So is that public transport, is that to do with those bus stops?
Through the mayor, yes, that's correct.
So if we don't do the bus stops, which I hope we don't, otherwise there's going to be an awful bun fight, not only in council but I think someone will park their tractor in the bus stop. So do we have to give that money back? Is there a certain amount that they contributed? It's 232, I think, or 250. Some of that will be One on Water and the rest will be, do we have to give that money back or can we move the bus stops or use it for something else?
Through the mayor, the money is allocated towards provision of bus stops along High Street. So if there was to be a change in their location or if they weren't delivered, we would have to amend that and potentially return any funding that was unspent.
Because, and we'll talk during the week about the one that was proposed outside the War Memorial that's been scrubbed, I believe. Good, we got there. And there's one proposed for High Street near the Mickey Burke's pub, which hasn't gone down well at all. So anyway, that's work to do in the future. So thank you for that.
Thank you,
Mr. Arnott.
Any other questions, councillors? Do I have, does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Ross, thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Foster, thank you. Councillor Ross as the mover.
I think Councillor Dukes has done all my way. Yeah.
Objection to Maya.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Foster as the seconder.
Thank you, Mayor. thanks to the officers, as always, for keeping us shipshape. And I know it's difficult times for everybody, including us. Strong headwinds, as they say. So I think it's our more conservative approach is welcomed in this environment. So happy to support this. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? No. I will now turn to Councillor Ross as the mover.
No, thank the CEO and the staff and running the financial year. We'll see where we end up. We're pretty happy that we're in a good reasonable spot.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. I now put the monthly financial report to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. The motion is carried. And thank you, Mr. Ross. We now turn to item 2.8, Audit and Risk Committee minutes. Confirmed for March 2026. Acting Director of Corporate and Governance, Ms. Cooley, to introduce the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This report is to provide council with the most recently confirmed minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee. The Audit and Risk Committee met quarterly and confirmed minutes are presented to the subsequent ordinary council meeting. The minutes from the December 2025 Audit and Risk Committee were confirmed at the March 2026 Audit and Risk Committee and signed by the chair of that committee. The recommendation is that council accept the confirmed minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting conducted on the 10th of December 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooley. Any questions, councillors? Yeah, Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess my question is probably to you and also to Councillor Taylor as our designated audit risk councillors, just to ask that you're happy that we're on top of all of our compliance and we're moving, because this is a really important committee for us in terms of checks and balances. So I'd be interested in your perspectives.
Absolutely. Councillor Taylor, take that.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Foster. Yes, I am satisfied that with our regular 3 monthly meetings and the work of the Audit and Risk Committee that we are compliant and that the committee is meeting its obligations. So, yeah, I'm satisfied.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. I also have to try and say I attended one meeting recently, and it's an excellent committee with a great kind of diverse range of backgrounds on there, and obviously the risk space is ever evolving in terms of cybersecurity and things like that. But I wouldn't say there's anything that's come across them like, oh, we're not onto that. They're absolutely onto it. But in terms of our risk appetite, that's maybe something for us as councillors to always be looking at where we cannot put our whole budget on risk, but it's a ever evolving space. But in terms of the committee meeting their requirements, yeah, absolutely. Mr. Emstein, do you wish to comment at all?
Through me, yeah. Look, I think we're just to add to that. I think we're served by a really good committee. Our independent members are highly experienced, and it's a well-chaired meeting. I think the contribution from councillors and their questions are always very good. And as far as officers are concerned, I think our preparation continues to improve. We're always going from one meeting to the next, really focusing on those opportunities to make every engagement with our Risk and Audit Committee that bit better the next time. So I'm really pleased with the way the team's endeavouring to do that. Always new opportunities, as you said. Our risk is always changing, so we can't stay the same in our approach. I'm happy with how we're progressing at this point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. Not falling for fishing there, pass not to get them. Does anyone wish to move the opposite recommendation? Councillor Taylor. And a seconder? Councillor Foster. Thank you. Councillor Taylor as the mover.
Oh, look, I don't have anything to say except just to move the procedure along. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Foster.
Nothing for me to add either. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? I'll now turn to Councillor Taylor as the mover.
Oh, no, nothing more.
Thank you. And now I'll put the motion to the vote. Those in favour is carried 6-0. Thank you, councillors. Now move to item 2.9, council events. Acting Director of Corporate and Governance. Let's introduce the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. You can see in front of you, councillors, that we have a list of council events for that there for you. It's been presented. That council endorsed the attendance of the nominated councillors at the following events. They're there for you. So just putting in that recommendation to council that list be endorsed. Thank you.
Schooley, just any questions, councillors? No questions. Anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Thank you, councillor Foster as seconder. Councillor Murray. Thank you. I invite councillor Foster as the mover to speak. Thank you.
No, nothing really to add to say other than I often say that it's being a councillor is a lot more than just going to a meeting once a month. There's quite a lot of activity that happens all through the week, every week, and councillors are off doing different things. So very happy to be transparent about what we're up to.
Thank you, councillor Foster. Councillor Murray is seconder.
Through you, Min, I guess, yeah, just to follow on from councillor Foster's point, because the VLGA recently released their councillor sort of census thing that they do each year of councillors, and I'm going to get it wrong, but it was the average councillors were saying they spend on councillor activities every week 40 or 50 hours, I think. And these community events and things make up a lot of that as well. So it is good for community to be able to see what we're up to out and about in the community, not just sitting in this chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Murray. Is any councillor wish to speak for or against the motion? I will now turn to the mover, councillor Foster. I'll have further. We'll put the motion to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. It is carried. 6-0. Thank you, councillors. We now move to item 3.1. Mayor and councillor activities. Does anyone wish to highlight in there at all, councillors? No? Okay. 3.2, councillor notes the motion. There are none. We now move to 3.3, general matters. Does anyone have any general matters they wish to discuss? Councillor Dukas.
Anzac Day,
Yes.
Ellerslie. Unbelievable. Very strong again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have to get a coffee cart and a hamburger band or something in there. It's really good. And I went to Croy, and guess what? You wouldn't believe it. It topped off Ellerslie. There was actually there. A really good turnout. And I was told that the CEO is going to get the PowerPoint moved to the right location. And everybody was very happy with that. So well done to those organisers. It was a great event. And well done also to the Woolsthorpe School. They have one every year, the day before Anzac Day. And it's good they had the whole class there, and even don't ask me what grade it is, but the little ones are only so high, all stood there nice and quiet.
Yeah.
Teachers were very impressed. So was I, because normally there's one cheeky one somewhere trying to get out of here. So well done to Woolsthorpe. They do a great job. Really good. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Dukas. Yeah, and I welcome you to Panmure, but you weren't there. You'll miss there as well.
Oh, I couldn't get out of Croy, mate. They locked me in.
Any other councillors? Yeah, councillor Murray, thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Just wanted to pass on all my well wishes to anyone heading to the Croy Irish Festival this weekend, as they launch themselves as the 33rd county of Croy. It's the 33rd. I'm looking forward to the weather's looking amazing on Saturday. I think it's supposed to be 27 degrees, so it's going to look like Ireland, but it won't feel like Ireland. It's nice and warm. And just to remind our community that the festival and event funding, Council's festival and event funding is open now, which provides funding of up to $15,000 per event. So if you've an upcoming festival or event in Moyne, get your applications in because they close on the 11th of May.
Thank you, councillor Murray. Does any other councillor have any? Councillor Ross.
I hate to deflate Mr. Dukas. Councillor Dukas.
Yeah, no.
But Hawkesdale P12 students done an almighty job, and the principal to thank him, and we had the bagpipes playing there. And then to the back to Macarthur, and we had the good old Blue Gun Band playing. And shout out to Jeff Sharrock for his little bit of history on the soldier settlements, and the breakup and how that went.
Thank you, Councillor Ross and Councillor Dukes. You have another one?
That's not fair because he had grown-up kids, we had little ones, and we had bagpipes. So trying to outdo Walsall, is you think? Can I mention too, and maybe our IT team, not IT, our media team. Biggest morning tea email us flat on Friday for cancer.
Is Friday coming?
Is Friday coming?
The
So
1st of May.
is it?
Yes.
Whatever it is,
Yep.
Friday.
Yep.
So if someone from the office talked to Mel in finance, I don't know if she's upstairs, downstairs, but if someone talks to Mel, who's a secretary of the hall committee, I'm sure that she could give you all the details. There's a little poster going around, but it's too technical for me. We will get it out there on whatever the school, whatever they call it, Facebook or something.
Thank you, Councillor Dukas. I think we'll follow up. Any other general matters at all, councillors? Another one, Councillor Dukas.
Thank you. Can get a quick report on Pamure?
Oh, just getting to that. Good segue. Thank you, Councillor Dukas. Yeah, so I'd like to first of all shout out Mr. Everstein, our CEO, that gave a fantastic speech at the Port Fairy service. We noted the 11 servicemen that had passed away during World War One, and wove that into a Gallipoli, sorry. Yeah, that's the Gallipoli landing. And it was a very, very good speech. And I think something that would be great to print and share with the community. So I think it was a really, really well-researched kind of speech. So well done to you. Also, a big congratulations to everyone involved out at Papio. That was a phenomenal. There was bagpipes, there was the march, there was that cannon fire which went off at the end, which was a surprise. Made a few people's hearts go. So yeah, big shout out to our Ian Wallace and the team, the Pamure Action Group. A phenomenal service. The kids sang, Jim. There was a couple of, I was yelling an Australian anthem, fantastic job. But also wanted to shout out to Commanding Officer of HMAS Debris, thank you, Captain Ben Favell. So he's Commodore, I've been trying to get the name right, Commodore Ben Favell. So Port Fairy fellow, hadn't been back for a long time, and he was in town and he gave the speech in Port Fairy. It was fantastic and really nice to see Ben again. It's been a long time. And yeah, he also want to do a shout out to, obviously anyone that served, but also, current people that are serving and people that have served over the years, because there were many events across our shire. There's, as we say, Moyne's bigger than Barley and over 89 localities in Moyne, and over those 89 localities, over many different, wars, and there's been, countless. And I thought that could be something to work out how many, people across our whole shire have served over the many different conflicts to keep us, safe over these years. So big shout out to everyone in that space. So, Councillor Dukes.
I forgot Grasmere because it's new. It's new. So yeah, big shout out to Grasmere. They had service there on their little reserve where they've got a lone pine growing and a little memorial. So well done. They've started that up, I think, a couple of years now, 2 or 3 years. So yeah, great to see.
Yeah,
great.
And on that, Councillor Ryan is an apology today, but she said there was a fantastic service out at Orford, which she also spoke at, and it was a very good event. Also, I know councillors travelled around a fair bit on that day, but I think Councillor Ross went to 5 locations, if I'm not mistaken. That's a huge effort, so it's really noted. And Councillor Taylor, you also six. Come on, there you go. Yeah. So, it shows the vastness of our shire, but it's really appreciated on a Saturday. Obviously, Anzac Day does mean a lot to a lot of people. And I think they were all fantastic. So we're held across our shire. We now head to CEO urgent business. There is none. Thank you. Item 3.4 urgent business. There is none. Now, item 4.0 and CEO meeting schedule and activities report. Item 4 and 5 will take them together if we could. Over to you, Mr. Everstein. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Any questions on the meeting schedule? Any questions on that? Appreciate the opportunity to provide transparency and to what is involved in my role with the team throughout the month. With that, I'll move on to the message from the CEO and the activities report. As far as just to start with Anzac Day, just on a personal note, I'd like to thank President of Port Fairy RSL Mick Clifford and Secretary Julianne Clifford for giving me the opportunity to provide that speech on Saturday. It was a big honour of mine to do that, and I really appreciate them asking me to do that. I was obviously more than happy to do so. I think also I'd just like to acknowledge our team because Anzac Day is actually a very rare occasion in the year where we have so many events across the Shire actually all occurring on the same day. There's actually not much like that. Often our events and activities across the Shire are happening, in much smaller numbers. So I got really good feedback from those who have interacted with our teams and staff on cooperation and things that we're doing to help volunteers do what they do to activate those really important commemorations. And so I thank the team for that. And I think, we're always looking for ways to do that better each year. Some of those events take over 12 months in the planning. So thanks to our team and they're working with community on that. I'd like to also then next highlight, we had a really exciting announcement for anyone who missed it for the Mortlake Rec Reserve. So the state government announced $500,000 in their pledge to the construction of female change rooms. Council has already committed in through the budget to $250,000 and the club to at least $140,000. And that'll allow the last key piece of the Mortlake strategic plan to be completed. So this is a plan that's well over 10 years old and bit by bit it's come together. That will become one of our major projects for the new year. So we're really excited to get into that as a project and see that last key infrastructure behind that plan come to life in the months ahead. Onto roads, which was spoken about a little earlier, just on our unsealed road sheeting, we're 60% through that piece of work and that resumes at the moment. So we'll get some further updates as we move to the end of the financial year, looking to complete that important work. Our main road rehabilitation work at the moment, we're out on the Hopkins Fall Road, Wangoon Road intersection and Markswell Road. We're down to line marking and final inspections, so they're very close, if not done. Hughes Road also at completion. Sealing work on the Darlington Terang Road is occurring at the moment, and upcoming we're seeing the Warrendoo Streatham Road widening around 50% completed at the moment. So lots of roads activity occurring. It's really the main impact with fuel is around our resealing work, which I spoke to earlier in the meeting. Early years, interestingly, our enrolments at 347 are down 16 places year on year. We're seeing a bit of a drop in profile this year in Koroit, so we'll be ready to see that pick up again in future years. But as always, a great job being done by all of our early years staff and team across the Shire. So I thank them for their always hard work. On capital projects, many would know our Koroit Township Renewal Project is well underway. So big thanks to the team there, Commercial Road and High Street in particular. We're about to pause that work in lieu of the Irish Festival on the weekend. So for those coming through the town, you'll notice a bit of semi-completion work in those stages where we're up to, and that work will recommence after the Irish Festival. But we got to where we wanted to be ahead of the festival, which was really pleasing. Asset renewal, which is really important, particularly around a lot of our community assets throughout the Shire. So the Port Fairy Gardens grandstand is has been completed, I should say. Toolong Hall restumping, repainting of Sackville Street public toilets and visitor information centre, and also the V1 booking office. We're also out at the Warrendoo Rec Reserve kitchen upgrade. That's been one that I know the community that has been working hard for in gaining that funding for some period of time. So really exciting to see the structure on its way up there. Tiny Towns work underway, just completed the Hawksdale work at Apex Park, which is fantastic. Lots of free campers utilise that space, so really important to upgrade what we do there. Shade sales at the Garvock Community Hub, as well as Nullawarre, so really important for our children and protecting them under the harsh sun. So some important infrastructure there through Tiny Towns. For the Gibb Street Bridge in Port Fairy, we were hoping to announce who we have awarded that tender to today. We haven't quite completed the agreement with them. We don't see any issues with that. We've just got to work through the legal elements, but we do expect to announce that within the next couple of weeks. So please look out for that from Council when the time comes. But that's a really exciting announcement for Moyne Shire coming up. A reminder for the Port Fairy Pool Fitness Centre, the technical investigation report is on track for that to be released at the next May Ordinary Council meeting, and that report will be made fully publicly available. So important piece of work underway there. The carbon, just in terms of grants, some other grants I don't think mentioned yet was the Community Carbon Offset Program. This has been running well over 10 years, so that's underway at the moment. And also the Heritage Festival is occurring at the moment through to the 18th of May. And that is the end of my update. So thank you very much, Mayor. Happy to take any questions.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Eversole. Almost a thorough report. Any questions? Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. And sorry, Mr. Everstein, a question without notice here.
Sure.
The Mortlake Avenue of Honour was contacted during the week by a resident wanting to know when the plaques are likely to be reinstated. And I know the report says that they're being their condition is being audited at the moment. Do we have any timeframes around that?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Councillor Foster. I might defer to Mr. Arnott for that question, if I could, please.
Thank you. And I don't have that information at hand, but happy to bring that back in and share that with the community and council shortly.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Epstein? No? Great. Thank you, Mr. Epstein. I will now call for a motion to suspend standing orders in order for us to consider the items in the confidential agenda. So Ruba, Councillor Murray, a seconder, Councillor Ross. Now put that to the vote. The motion is carried 6-0. Thank you, everyone, for listening to our council meeting. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff. Thank you, Mr. Everstein. Thank you for watching.